Hello, everyone. I am Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker and the host of this Halt and Catch Fire rewatch podcast. Now, when I speak, my topic is something I call Take the Doughnut, which for me is another way to say carpe diem, basically go after what you want in life. Something that I wanted to do this year was rewatch the show Halt and Catch Fire, but this time talk about it with other humans. That was the trick. And we're up leveling that because I'm getting a chance to talk with people who actually worked on the show about the show. So before we get into today's interview, just a quick housekeeping item for you. If you've never seen the show Halt and Catch Fire, the episode recaps are safe for you up until the episode you're on in terms of being spoiler free. If you want to stay completely spoiler free, the interviews are tricky space, right? We could drop any detail from any episode of the show. So just be aware of that up front. But if you're ready to party, stick around because today we're going to talk about the Mutiny Party. I have some very special guests on today. I've got Cait, who played Gretchen, and Cason Richter, who was a Mutiny party goer for episode 208, which was Limbo. Hello to both of you.
Hi.
So good to have you here.
Great to be here.
So, this will be interesting because it's, I normally do one interviewee at a time. So we're just gonna, I have a lot of questions for both of you, and then I'll split them up. I have some that are just for you as individuals. So the first one I wanted to ask before we really get into the episode at all, what was the process for you in getting onto the show to begin with? I'll start with Cason on that one.
I've been an actor since I was a little kid, always doing community theater. I got represented at like 10, started doing just smaller walk-on roles, trying to get, just any, and that was one of the first things I booked. I think I was or one of the major things I booked. I was like 17, and it was one line. I've had a couple one-line successes in my life, and they liked the way I said it, and that's how it goes. Or it might have been two lines. I can't remember. Was it one line or two? I think it was one line.
I'm gonna count it as two, and we'll get to that amazing line shortly. Yes. I scrolled down on my page and was like, yes, it's two lines. So so did you audition for this and you had to say those lines, or did they give you like something that was fake to read, or
so they'll send you I believe they sent us real sides. It's so long ago that I can't quite remember, but yeah, I believe we got real sides for it. I think the fat line is what booked me the show, I think.
Okay, well, there you have it. Awesome way to get onto the show. Yeah. Hey, what about you? So you had the role of Gretchen. You have like pretty good amount of dialogue with Cameron. What was your process for getting onto the show?
For this, the auditioning process for this was really simple because, sometimes shows will bring you through the ringer. For this one, though, I remember I got the audition and it said something in the character description that she has purple streaks or something and like a nose piercing. So I went to Sally's Beauty Supply because I am like the hunky-dory, always the cheerleader. So I went and made myself look a little more grunge than I actually am. I taped it. I think it was a week later, I got a call saying that the Southeast casting had me as their choice, but that the LA casting also had a choice and they had to confer. And it just so happened that gratefully I was the same choice for both sides, which had never happened for me before. I was like, oh, this is easy. They said, please get in a car. And I got in a car that day. And then we drove, because I'm from Texas, but I did local hire to Atlanta. So it was just a very fast process, which I've never had happen before. We were talking, it was over like Easter weekend, I think. And it was the difference that 3 days can make. I mean, you're chilling at home and then all of a sudden you're on set, first job, full hair and makeup.
That's so tricky. I didn't realize that they would have like the Los Angeles and the Atlanta hiring, like the two different hiring companies, and they both had to settle on you. That sounds like a minor miracle.
Yeah, I think that, so the LA casting would be the head casting, and then they would have the local casting directors who would have their choice. And I assume usually I let in a little bit more on the process as far as them whittling down a group of actors. I didn't know that any of that was happening, so I assume that both sets had a group of probably 5 or 6 girls that they were watching tapes from, and then just picked from that group after that was whittled down. I assume. I'm not sure.
Okay, awesome. Well, how much, so this show had been going for a full season. You came in for 208, so now we're pretty far into the second season, but probably none of that had aired by the time you were on. How much did you know about this show? I'll go
Who
with
wants to go first?
go
Me?
with Cason on that. Yeah, keep the pattern going.
I knew it was on AMC, which was a big deal because I'm a huge Breaking Bad fan. I knew that it was going to be quality. You just jogged my memory on the casting. That was really quick. I remember you flooded my memory with a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that was. I live in Savannah, which is about a 4-hour drive from Atlanta. I think my agent called me and was like, It was like, you need to get in the car, because that, with the smaller roles, they'll wait. Okay, is this getting cut? How are we moving this around? I'm guessing is how it works. And so they said, you got to be there. Sorry, I forgot the original question, but that was you jogged my memory with that.
Yeah, and the question was, how much did you know about the show before you came on? Which you also answered. I mean, you've
Yeah,
done
not
it.
much.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Cait, how about you?
I knew AMC because at the time, I was obsessed with Walking Dead, and also I don't think it was on AMC, but Sons of Anarchy as well. And Sharon Bialy, who did the casting for Walking Dead, I knew the vibe of what the show would probably be based on the shows that she was casting at the time. But other than that, those are the only kind of context clues he had. It was an hour drama on AMC. And also I think that they had promotional posters that had come out by that point. So at least even like tonally getting an idea of even the casts that they put over the shows that the Bialy Thomas office usually do. I don't know. It was a good idea. Yeah, this dude's getting louder.
The weed whacker. I don't
He's
hear
got a
it.
weed whacker situation. I've got some construction noise I've been dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of stuff here, but the
There's no
mutiny
internet
party
in Georgia.
the mutiny party can't be stopped. Okay, you can't stop us from having this party, as much as the world wants to. We made it. Did you get a chance to meet on set, both of you?
Yes. I thought, okay, so this is how dumb I am. I thought Cait was really, because you were in costume. I was like, this is how this girl really is. And then I was friends with you on Instagram. I was like, oh, she's not actually like that. I was like, oh yeah, I guess she doesn't play the character, huh?
That's so funny. No, how, I don't know if we talked about this on set, how long I was in hair and makeup.
I I remember a few. I'm guessing I'll share them later. But I remember meeting you. I remember meeting Nick, a few other people, and yeah, it's vague. But I have some. I remember you saying it was quite a while.
It's like 8 hours.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
mine wasn't that intensive. They threw some blush on me, and I was in and out of there.
It takes a full business day to be Gretchen.
It does take I was like had my hair half done, going to eat lunch. I'm like, hey guys, you don't know me. We never met before, but I'm rocking it here like on the plate. Hi. My little I think I just turned 16. I didn't know anything.
Cait, so 8 hours in hair and makeup. I can't imagine there were a whole lot of other people that were clocking in that much time with you in terms of the other actors on set. Because if you look at like the main cast, they're in so much of the show they can't have them in hair and makeup for 8 hours. And then if you look at other background actors, they're probably not going to put that much time and attention. You had like a fair amount of dialogue, and we really needed to be able to spot you. So I don't know. Were they putting that kind of time and detail into other people alongside you, or was it just you in a chair for 8 hours?
It was, as far as I remember from that day, I was the only person who was there for that long. They would have a couple of people that would come in and get quick like makeup touches who were already filming. Like I think Scoot McNairy was filming a scene that day, and like he came in just for a little bit of makeup right before. But yeah, it was a full 8 hours with pretty much just me and Monty Schuth, I think is his last name, doing my hair. and they kept like sending pictures. It would be a process of we would do it, and there might be a 15-minute period where they'd send pictures off to production, or you'd have like a director come in and look at it to see if they liked it. And progressively, I wish I had some of the other photos. My phone got stolen in January, so I don't have any of the photos from that time. But I had it was a lot more pretty at first. Whenever they came in to look at it, they're like, we need to grunge it up. You need to look like, yeah, no, we need to scale it back on that aspect. And the makeup was such a hard, long process as well.
Yeah.
Done by one person, I make it done by someone else, being like, okay, am I moving too much? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So my understanding is that this party was shot over 2 days, but were you two there for 1 day or 2 days?
I was just there for 1 day.
Okay. All right. So that would be why, because I was looking for you both in various like background scenes as well and didn't see you. So the lines that you had, that's where you were on screen.
Yeah. Which I remember doing some background, but I don't know. I guess I must not be in that background that they used. But I did do some standing and partying. I do remember doing that. But yeah.
Nice. That's what an interesting job.
It was bizarre because we were partying in silence, because, and I remember talking to Nick Pupo, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Yes, great guy. And we were talking and he was like, you're going to have to not talk in a second. Because he was being very nice and being like, you're going to need to be quiet in a second. I was like, oh, okay. And then they were like, rolling. And he was like, mouthing things to me like we were talking. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So they even did it with that. Because I know when you do like, when you see like club scenes and you've got people dancing to music, they don't have the music. But even with what you were doing, they were like, even in an outdoor setting, it sounds like they were controlling the noise levels.
There might have been music played at one point, but I remember specifically Nick being like, you're going to have to not talk at full voice because they're going to walk past us doing dialogue. And I was like, okay, thank you for saying that. So I don't get embarrassed.
Yeah, that's a good thing to be clued into. Absolutely. So when this episode is so distinct from a lot of other ones. This episode actually has 2 different parties or club scenes that we see. There's what you're in, and then Joe and Sarah, those characters, are at a nightclub. So normally this show has a much sort of smaller, more intimate feel, scenes with a couple characters. The Mutiny House itself is already a departure from that because it's a bunch of people in a small space, but party scenes is not like what you tend to see in Halt and Catch Fire. So, when you get on set for something like this that is out of the norm for the show, what kind of conversation is happening on set of people trying to get into this new rhythm? Because everybody around you is trying to figure it out just as much as you are.
Cait?
I'll go with Cait on that one first. Yeah.
Everybody, will you repeat the main part of the question?
Like when you're on set for a scene like this that really nobody on set is used to doing for this show, what was the vibe of that? What were they saying to you to try to get sort of a handle of what this scene was going to be?
I think maybe I never felt everybody trying to figure everything out, but maybe that's just because I was trying to figure everything out.
Definitely as day players, we're in our own head. We're not concerned with I think I was much more concerned with my own, but I definitely felt, now you're saying it, a level of chaos because they had all the tents set up in the front yard and it was heavy scramble for everyone that was working on that show.
It was chaos, but I think at the time, maybe now in retrospect, thinking about it, it was probably chaos compared to other things that I've worked on slightly, but I did not realize it was the beginner blessing. I did not realize at all the chaos or the stress that people were under. And also,
oh man, I got a story later for that. Go ahead.
Everybody was also just so incredibly kind on set because now I've experienced chaotic sets where people have not been kind under pressure. And everybody on that set had patience and just allowance for people to make mistakes or take a second. There were a couple moments where stress got kind of high, but Daisy, the director of the episode, she was incredible at keeping everybody on track and cool. She was incredible.
That's a lot to wrangle as a director for sure. So you want somebody with a cool head on that. So Cason definitely had a little bit of background work in addition to the scene where he has the line. Cait, did you have background work as well, or was it just okay?
I pretty much flew in and then I did my stuff and then I flew out. Yeah.
So this question then is for Cason. Okay, so when you think about the scene or scenes that you were in as background, how, like, if we're thinking about the chaos of it all, how much of what you were doing was like scripted or told to you versus how much of it was your choice on the day?
When your background, they were just like stand around here and walk around and pick up drinks. That was total. They're not concerned at you. And I think I had already shot my coverage at that point. So they were like basically like using me as almost like a featured extra at that point, being like, you saw this guy have a line, now he's standing back here. When it came to the saying of the line, I have another story. So I don't know his name, but the writer of the episode, and I know this, the only reason I know this is he told me this to his face, to my face, that he was the writer of this episode. We say the line a few times. We go cut, there's down, but we're not cutting. We stop rolling, maybe not cut. They were like, okay, downtime for a second. The writer of the episode, I've never had anything like this happen to me since or then. He took me aside, just him and I stood on the side yard, and he said, say the line for me. I can't remember exactly. I thought you were going to be fat.
I pictured you as fat, like
I
really
pictured you as
fat.
fat, really fat. Said it just the way I've been, only the way I know how to say it, because that's how I booked the role. And he's like looking down at the ground, and this guy is stressed because I'm guessing he got this chance to write this episode, and he wants it to be really good. And he's looking at the ground. He's like, say it again, like this. And he's like, you're saying it different. And I'm like, then what? I guess then I auditioned. I'm like, I'm saying it's a line. I'm saying it the same. I think I'm saying it the same way I've been saying it. He's like flustered. I'm like, and I go back and he's like, okay, let's do it again. And then I do it again. I try, and he didn't give me notes. He was just like, it's different. I don't remember exactly what he said. And we went back and did it. And I walked away. I was like, that is getting cut. That is getting. This is the first thing that I'm going to be in that I'm not actually in. So I don't know if it was when we readjusted it that he got what he wanted, but the line stayed in. And I hope that he didn't have a heart attack that day off of my line because he was stressed about it.
Oh no, that's scary if you're in that position.
He wasn't rude or mean to me at all. It was totally, you could tell he was trying to get the thing that he wanted, that it was his job. It wasn't like it wasn't a rude thing at all.
Yeah. It's tricky though, because like a writer on set isn't the director, it's not the editor. Like there's like so many levels of people who need to approve things. So it's so interesting to have that experience. It's almost like you got a private acting coach for a day.
And he's never gonna he never gave me a line read. He never said like, say it like this and said it for me. He was like, very concerned. And I was like, I'm gonna do my best for you. I promise I'm gonna try my best.
Can I ask you a question, Cason?
Yeah.
Do you find it, out of curiosity, if someone were to like give you a line read, do you find that easier? Because sometimes I'm like, just if you want me to say it a certain way, I will.
Well, yeah, if you want a robot, sure. I mean, but I like to act, I mean, that's what am I here for? Then I'm meat. But yeah, it would be easier if it, especially like a commercial, you're like, just tell me how to say it. But I mean, that's like, as creative as actors, I think we think of ourselves as creative people as well. And we're on the lower rung of getting credit for the choices that are made sometimes. A lot of the public sees actors, but we really know the writers are people who really carry something, and then actors get to make smaller choices. So when you give us line readings, you're taking all of our our everything, anything creative we can bring is really shut down then.
So you prefer not to have the direct line reading and just to have sort of the intuitive,
yeah, especially if it's a play or something. I'd like to try something different every night or something like that. But that's just me.
Yeah. It's so tricky in TV because you have to match, if you're trying to get
Mhm,
continuity. Maybe with one line, it isn't as much that way, but you have to sort of at least match your actions, I would think,
mhm,
to an extent. Um, so, Kason, you had this scene with Carrie Bechet.
mhm,
So we've referenced it a couple times, but the deal here is you are one of the first mutiny users to arrive at the party. She greets you. She's very excited to greet the first person that she sees. And you say, "You're Donna Clark. I pictured you as fat, like really fat."
really fat.
So we're thinking you auditioned with this line. You got this line. You also have the name Moon Chaser on your name
Hmm.
tag. Where did that come from?
Okay, so Joshua Hoover, who we know, he was writing all of the name tags down, and I think he was just being a silly Billy on the day. And I could be wrong, and but he seemed like he was coming up with unique things for everyone. And he gave me, we actually did a couple different takes where he wrote different names for me, and I still have, believe it or not, on an envelope in my room the Moon Chaser name tag. I just kept it because I thought it was cool.
Aw, direct from Bodhi to you.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah, that's so great. I like that he just had that much. He's just like, I'm just going to give you a name, is what I'm doing today.
Unless somebody beforehand was like, these are kind of the names they should be. It seemed like he was coming up with them, and he was just sitting there writing names and handing them out because that was part of the scene.
I mean, I think that it was sort of a similar process for how all of the mutiny coders got their names. I think it was like a day one of season two, like we're doing the long oneer at the start of the
Hmm.
episode, and everyone just needs a name. So we
Hmm.
just start giving them names so they can keep them straight and like give them direction better. So it's probably a thing that happens, and you were bestowed the name Moon Chaser. Um, Tell us about working with Carrie Bechet.
She was very nice. It was very quick. Especially with her coverage, I think we shot that in like 30 minutes, which in, film and television is really quick. Um, Besides that, I didn't, the only, beside the main cast interaction that I had was with Toby Huss. Okay, so the cooling tents, I was put in there just to wait, and Toby Huss was in there, and who is just a prolific actor. I know now. He's been in so much, and he's had so many things. He is such a great. I follow him on social media. He's a great photographer. He was in the 2016 Ghostbusters. He's in all of these things. He was the father in Weird Al Yankovic. I saw him just recently. That Weird Al Yankovic movie was great. And I'm sitting next to him, and he's reading his paper, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, "So you're on the show?" And he's like, "Yeah." Not mean at all. I was like, "You on this episode?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm on this episode." I was like, "Oh, you've been on it from the beginning, haven't you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I have been on it from the beginning." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But we just sat there and talked, and I just totally dissed him in a way I didn't mean to. But he was very gracious and very nice when I should have known who he was, probably.
That feels so like it feels like a thing Toby Huss would do just to sort of roll with it. And
He
now
was
you
very
can recite
gracious.
his entire IMDb
He's a great actor.
history.
He's a great actor.
I love how your setup for this was like, okay, so he was in this and this.
He's so good. Not only that, if you're prolific is one thing, but I think everything I've seen, and I recognized his face because just as seeing him, I knew him, but I just didn't. I just being nervous and being like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Instead of just putting two and two together and being like, "He's been on this show for this long. I should just know." But he was very nice and sat there and talked to me for a long time in that tent.
The interesting thing about his work, though, is that he's done like some of his bigger roles have been voice work or
Mm,
like very deeply in character where he sort of disappears into the role.
hmm.
So, like, I bet he probably gets that a lot. of like, maybe somebody recognizes him, but maybe they kind of hear his voice and they're like, wait a minute.
I'll never forget now, I promise.
That's so great. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, so Cait, let's talk a little bit about your experience with Gretchen. So we've talked a little bit about the hair and the makeup process. Tell us a bit about getting into character.
One of the things that really helped me get into character was they wanted a tether between Cameron and my character. So in the pilot episode, she wears these camo like long, like floor length pants, but she's very tall and I'm 5'2", so they chopped them off at the knee, so they're shorts on me. So that was my first kind of, obviously the lines were a clue as far as I look up to you, and it's a little bit different from the audition sides, but it pretty much the same gist. And then having the pants were the clue. We were talking about the hair and makeup trailer. One of my favorite things is talking to the hair artists about the characters, because the hair artists have been given all of the inspiration pictures, the vibe that they want this character to give off. That is all technical. That doesn't have anything to do with the emotion that an actor brings. So for me, I love talking to hair and makeup artists about what they have been told from the creatives that they want from a character. They want her to be this innocent version of Cameron coming in, looking up to her. They want her to be a little bit more like, did she ride in on the Greyhound bus? Where does she keep her clothes? Does she actually have a place to live? All of these questions that come up with the hair and makeup artists, that even because I was younger, I hadn't thought about those specific things. So even during the 8 hours in the hair and makeup trailer, that was my whole entire character process of, oh, this is like deep. Like I can go deep with this. I'm allowed to go deep with this. And then so once I got on set and I met Mackenzie Davis, who I adore her. She's the sweetest person on set. She told me to she's the one who gave me the advice to always be careful about what you say while you're mic'd up.
Good advice.
Which I have taken to heart and has saved me many a times. But talking to her, she was like, did I wear those pants? And being able to have that connection really helped me to be able to look up to her in a very real world way in an unattached environment, you know?
Yeah, let's reset that scene for people who haven't seen it recently. So it's a moment, it's pretty far into the episode. We're going to see Cam sort of walking through the party, and then Gretchen comes up to her. She innocently asks if this is Cam's company, if Mutiny is Cam's company. For the first time, Cam admits that it is, because she's usually like, no, it's all of ours. We're equal. Like, we're all equal here. But for the first time, she says, yeah, I guess it is my company, which is kind of a big deal moment for her. Gretchen then thanks Cam. She says that her family is really screwed up. She didn't have anybody to talk to about it until she found community. Now she's got friends, she's got a support system, and none of it could have happened without Cam. She gives Cam like the biggest hug in the world. And Gretchen's got tears in her eyes. Cam, the thing is, like, Cam struggled with all of those same things, but never had a community until she created one for other people to have. So this scene is actually really meaningful in the broader context of the show. When you were prepping for this scene, or when you were getting ready to shoot this, what types of things, what notes were you all trying to hit with this Gretchen Cam scene?
Whenever we were prepping for what to do for the scene, she just came up to me, the director, Daisy, and she just said, I really liked what you did in your tape. If you could bring that to this, that'd be great. So, because in my tape, I had already, I think, emotionally hit what they needed. So I kind of got what she meant. But being on set, that much pressure, I didn't anticipate how much it would block emotion for me. It was really intimidating, especially because I was one of the younger ones on set in general, let alone talking at that point. So you have all the other Mutiny cast members. I remember Nick and Joshua off to the side watching that whole scene being filmed. And throughout the course of it, Mackenzie was so patient and amazing and gave me so much on my coverage, because actors don't have to. Whenever the camera is facing away from you, there are so many actors who will just say their lines and not give you anything. So your coverage, as an actor, I'm not the kind of person who can plan out what I'm going to say and actually do it. I will give you what you give me. So her staying with me there and giving me everything that she was giving me in the scene, I'm so grateful for her for so many reasons. But we got done, we cut, we did 2 takes in a row, and then I remember Joshua saying, "Come here!" And like I ran to him and gave him a hug, and Nick gave me a hug after that whole scene was done, because that the emotion in that, it was just, I think it was the preparation for it was just allowing myself to be there in the moment, which is so hard on a set. It's so hard to be present whenever everything is riding on you. The anxiety, ugh, it's crazy.
That's a lot to take in. And also, what I'm noticing between your stories is two different experiences. Two people had a great experiences like that are very unique with Joshua Hoover, like
Yes.
showing personal attention. That's really nice to hear that like people were supporting you on set to deliver these
I think
lines.
looking back on it for them, because I've been friends with Nick and Joshua, I think looking back on it for them, I think they didn't, you never know you're living in the good old days until you're out of the good old days. And we got to be there for a day, and they had already, they were working there every day. And I think they were having the time of their life there on that set with Josh and Nick and all the other people that were working there. They were clicking, and I think it shows.
It was a family we walked into for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that all sets weren't like that. Whenever we got there,
Absolutely.
everybody was so willing to accept any new person that came in. They were like, "Hey, you're one of us now." Which, especially for that environment, the whole Mutiny party, that whole group that they're in is a found family situation. So to come in with that, I feel like that was already a preparation. That the crew felt that way.
What else do you either of you remember about the process of shooting the show, especially comparing it up against maybe other sets that you've been on since then, but knowing that was one of your early experiences with that, like what are some of the things that stuck out to you as like, oh, this is what it's like to be on set?
Hmm. Um, I feel like it was it was certainly an eye open. That was I think the second thing I had done. I had done the Duff, which is a movie that was shot in Georgia. And then I did that. So that was absolutely an eye-opening experience to get on set and to be on a TV show for the first time and see all the differences and all of the how many people's jobs really take to make a show work. I know that's obvious, but it really is people working eh, around the clock to make something like that happen.
Hmm. Cait, anything jump out to you?
It was honestly, compared to other sets that I've been on, the things that I'm most grateful for that time, and what uh it was more of a marker for how a set should be than
Hmm.
the negatives, because I've been very fortunate. I've not had any horrible, 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 consistently horrible set experiences. But from like Daisy coming to eat lunch with me and my mom whenever we got there, whenever I was getting my hair done, to the hair and makeup crew being so kind and welcoming. That was honestly just a marker for me of, oh, these are the people I need to find. And I think that kind of set me on a path where whenever I get on set, it's the crew that come first for me as far as respect. I mean, well, everybody deserves respect, but respecting the crew's time, and they get there 3 to 4 hours before any actor does. And also making sure that you know everybody's names as much as possible, because everybody knew everybody. It was so nice, so lovely.
Yeah.
They took care of each other.
It did feel a little bit. I have one line in Stranger Things, and that was like the only thing where I was like, this is large. That set was because there was paparazzi there and weird stuff for that. That was like another level. But the Halt and Catch Fire really did feel like like a win. Oh, you won. I felt like I won a contest. You know what I mean? A little bit. You're like, of course, we have our merits of what we brought to the show, but it does feel like, hey, come on this AMC show and you get to meet all the actors and go around and you get a line, and it's like it was stressful a little bit, but as someone who loves performing, once you get in doing it, it's like not only getting to do something I love, I'm getting, something that people would pay thousands of dollars to come and do an experience like this. So it was all those that, but especially I agree with the family aspect of it. Of Halt and Catch Fire was certainly a lovely experience in that way.
I remember getting, whenever they were flying me in from the cooling tent, uh, I wish I knew his name. It was one of the ADs asked me, what have you done before? He was just really chill. And I said, this is the first thing that I've done ever professionally. And he turned around to me. He was like, really? This is a great thing to do. Dude, this is amazing. I'm so excited for you. And just the excitement for other people and the cheering each other on that set was amazing. It was
Did either of you, well, statute of limitations is well over now. Did either of you get to take anything from set, or was there, if you didn't, is there something you wish you could have taken?
I said I have the name tag still. I think that's the only piece of anything I have from Halt and Catch Fire.
I don't have anything. I wish I had taken the pants. I do wish but also that was the last thing I would be able to take. Either that or anything that they put in my hair, because they put a lot of stuff in my hair.
They want that stuff back at the end of the day. Believe it or not, actually, they care.
No, okay, so I had to do a self-tape that night after I got finished filming. It was for some Disney Channel movie. And they called them, Monty called them white girl dreads, the dreads that I have in, because they curled my hair, and then they would take it one strand at a time, so they curl it, and then they would tease it, and then he would straight or flat iron it, and then he put the hair wax or honey wax, bee wax, I don't know, something he put in, and he would just do this over and over and over. But I had to do the self-tape that night. So I got off set probably, I'm guessing, at 7:30 or 8. That's total guess. Went straight back to the hotel, and I was sobbing in the bathtub with my hair over while my mom is brushing out
oh no
the white girl dreads. And I wish at that time that I would have known that no casting director would have cared. They'd have been like, oh, that's really cool that you got off set and your hair is like that. I wish that I would have known that, because I would have kept them in for a week. Because I've always wanted to have hair like that. I think it's really cool. The fact that I got to do it for that first job, I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is really cool.
I mean, that stuff's not coming out of your hair for a good long time. Your mom gets the MVP award for that.
We're good. I think it were clumps. Oh my gosh, it took me years to get over that one.
Oh, wow. Any other favorite moments, experiences that you had from being on set that you want to make sure you plug to us? Or if it helps to think about it in this way, any other people you want to shout out?
You want to go first?
I do have a funny story with Mackenzie Davis, because we really clicked on set. I really, really look up to her a lot. And so after we got off set, I'd sent her a thank you card with a note written in it, because not just that I was working with someone that I respected, but working with a female that I respected, who is the embodiment of femininity and badassery, was a huge deal for me. And so she sent me a letter back. And because I have ADHD, I lost the address and I couldn't message her back. And it hurt me so bad, because she sent the kindest letter back. And then it was 3 or 4 years ago, I went to go watch a Netflix screening, because I've watched almost every episode of Black Mirror, but I got invited to a Black Mirror Netflix screening. I was like, all right, I'll go. For this episode called San Junipero, and I had never heard of it.
Great episode.
I never heard of it, and I'd watched all of them, so I was like, I don't know how I missed this. And so I sit down, and my friend comes with me, and she goes, okay, so we have Mackenzie Davis. And I went, what? So she went to go speak before. And she went, and it was just my heart was racing, because it was this is childhood. I'm so happy right now. I feel so grateful. Very full circle moment. And I went to the bathroom, and she walks out of the stall to wash her hands. And I go, hi, are you Mackenzie Davis? Duh. And I beat myself up about that after. And she was like,
we hugged once.
I was like, you were in Halt and Catch Fire. You played Gretchen. Remembered from that many years ago, from one scene, I almost cried. I was like, yes, oh my gosh. And she hugged me, and it was really sweet. And I told my mom that story, and my mom was like, you asked her if she was Mackenzie Davis? You knew she was. And then 6 months later, my mom calls me. She goes, "Hey, I just watched your episode of Halt and Catch Fire. You do realize you go up and say, 'Hi, are you Cameron Howe?'" See, Mom, it's not just me, okay? It was a very, very, very full circle moment.
Like all you needed was the extra, like, are you Mackenzie Davis? Is this your TV show? Oh my goodness.
I pictured
so
you as
good.
more fat.
Oh gosh. Cason, is there anything else that jumps out to you as
I think the names we've said so far, I think Cait, Nick, Joshua, Toby, those, not without going into other details, like's been said on the Zoom, you don't always have that experience with people being really nice and going out of their way to be nice, and that is absolutely the feeling I had on that day of of support for. And a lot of the times people who come in one line, they'll not in a mean way, but they'll be dismissive of you because you're not going to be around. So they don't have to establish they don't have to, because they don't have to work with you going forward. So they don't have to, we're not going to see you tomorrow. So they just don't have to go out and say, "Hi, this is my name." And they did. And it was a nice experience.
Oh, so good to hear. So you've both sort of mentioned some things that you've done since then, but what have you done since Halt and Catch Fire that you want to direct our attention to? Anything, I hesitate to say what are you up to now, because I know it's such a weird time in the industry. I have to rephrase this for every single person I talk to. But for you, since Halt and Catch Fire, what should we check out that might be on your credits?
Okay.
I have an indie film that I'm going to a film festival for next month, which I'm really excited about, called Chasing Oslo, but that's not out yet. But I did Vice Principals right after Halt and Catch Fire, which was actually the same casting team, the Finn Cannons and Bialy Thomas. I love doing that because I got to work with Walton Goggins and David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, and all three of those are, huge inspiration. So
I'm gonna plug Vice Principals as well. I'm in a scene in Vice Principals.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So please go watch Vice Principals. We get like 3 pennies every time you watch it, so that'd be awesome. I'm in season 3 of Halt and Catch Fire. I have a line where I run into Dustin. That's the biggest thing I've done. If you live in Georgia, go ahead.
Stranger Things, you mean?
Stranger Things. What did I say?
Halt and Catch Fire.
My bad.
I was like, you do?
This podcast. Stranger Things. Stranger Things. If you live in Georgia and you want to see a play adaptation of Reservoir Dogs, working on that right now. So that's my passion project. And yeah.
Cool.
I've been seeing your casting for that. I didn't
Thank
know
you.
I didn't know if it was online. I was gonna apply, and then I was like, that's definitely not.
Yeah, it's local, but maybe one day we'll take it around and everyone can try and be in it.
In LA. Hey.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna try and avoid LA because I don't have exactly all the rights, and I don't want Quentin Tarantino to hunt me down yet, but we'll get there.
Or maybe do that first, and that's great PR for the rest of your stops on the tour.
There is precedent for it. I am not the first person to make a play adaptation of Reservoir Dogs, and he himself has said that it would make a good adaptation. So I feel like if he was more litigious, he would have already done something. So we're out here making guerrilla art.
That's so good. Well, thank you both for taking some time and joining the Mutiny party again. Despite all of the things in the world that have conspired to keep us apart, we're here together talking about Halt and Catch Fire, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. I'm glad the show is still. I'm glad people still love this show. That's great. That makes me happy.
I'll tell you what, I mean, let's see. At this point, I've done probably over 60 interviews
Mhm.
with people who worked on the show, and I don't think you get that many people who want to do an interview if they weren't happy with their experience, you know. So I
Mhm.
think like people want to revisit the show who worked on it, and you know, it just makes the people who love watching the show love it even more. So this has been a really fun journey, and I love being able to hear your stories because you have a different perspective into this episode than so many of the people that I've talked to. So this has been great. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
And to everybody who's watching this, please go out there and watch Halt and Catch Fire and Vice Principals. Bye, everyone.
Bye.